Good evening, everyone. Young and Zhao here for a special broadcast. Today, we are here to celebrate Empire of the Undying Sun, my campaign guide for 5th edition horror. You've got lots of it, old school adventure with new school mechanics. And today we have some special guests joining me here. We have the Pope of horror himself, his own creator of his own grimoire, Peter Gilmore.
I want to drink your blood.
And we have the fabulous Fabrizio, the artist. Hello, how you doing?
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
And a man whose box is longer than it deserves to be.
Hey,
John's long box.
how you doing?
Hey.
How's it going?
What's up?
Hey, how's everybody?
Good.
It's been a long couple of days.
Yeah, tell me
Get
about it.
things set up.
It's always long days. Always for me.
Well, thanks for joining me tonight, gentlemen. Let's just do a quick.
Yeah. Tell us all
over
about
here.
this. Yeah.
So, Empire of the Undying Sun. One of the things about modern Dungeons and Dragons is it kind of got to be weak tea. It used to be all about like killing demons and orcs and looting dragon hordes and getting women. But for some reason, they don't do that anymore. So
Thank God.
Yeah. Bigots.
I want to explore my feelings and have therapy sessions with my players. You know,
Just so long as I can get my battle wheelchair around the dungeon, I don't care.
right? I just like you to know my local lich is a very inclusive and diverse lich. So,
did he install ramps in his
of course he
murder
did.
dungeon?
Of course
Oh,
he
of
did.
course.
He's a lich, not a monster.
But don't.
So my thought was, hey, we need to take it back a little bit, at least in terms of theme, if not mechanics. So 5 years of work later, Empire of the Undying Sun is ready. We have all sorts of new adaptations, estimated to be 450 to 500 pages of a campaign guide
Wow.
full of unbelievable settings. We have strange creatures in the woods, pirate escapades on the high sea. You've got scouring the deserts and the jungles, searching for lost ruins. And we have fantastic art. Oh, one here by Mr. Gilmore himself.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like an old wood carving that you see like from the Middle Ages or something like that. You know.
Yeah. People tell me that. Tell me I draw like a wood carving.
Yeah. They say you have a personality of a wood carving. Don't mess.
Yeah.
Up.
No, that personality of a plank.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually at the art museum a few weeks ago, and they had what's that guy named Gustave Diore. They had a lot of stuff by him, and
my boy.
I wanted to throw this in there with it. It seems like it would fit. But we've got new mechanics for creating gods. We've got new mechanics so that not only are you playing in the real world, you can enter the dream realm. You can meet peoples and creatures, and gods will often speak to you in dreams. And if you're unlucky, some creatures might come for you. So
Sir Frederick of Kruger.
Not only might you meet Frederick of Kruger, you could be somebody else's Frederick of Kruger.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
So we have a lot of great stuff. And we've got 3 levels to the campaign. all digital. Unfortunately, a lot of people not in the US would have to pay a ton of money. Even shipping to Canada
Yeah.
is like an extra $20 or $30. It's
I shipped
insane.
something to Canada a couple of weeks ago. I didn't realize how expensive it was just to Canada. And I'm in New York. Canada's not that far away.
I know you could almost drive it up there for the
No,
same
I should
price.
have. Probably would save me money.
But so not only are you going to get a campaign guide, you're also going to get a player's guide. So the player's guide is like a stripped down version of the campaign guide. It's not going to have any secrets, but it's going to have all about the settings. It's going to have all about the countries and the basic history, the different factions, because you're paying good money for this. You want to show off this art to your players, right? I mean, you don't want to be like, oh, I wish I could show you how cool this is going to be. No, you actually want to show them. So you'll get the campaign guide and the player's guide. We've got a physical level where you will get a print of the campaign guide, and the player's guide will be digital unless we hit a stretch goal. I don't know about that. And then we also have a carrying case.
Oh, wow.
Where you can fit 2 books in there, 2 regulation size Dungeons & Dragons books. It's got an area for you to roll the dice when the books are out of there. The other area, you can store dice holders, minis, pens, dice towers, whatever you got. And a nice DM screen comes with it and actually forms the top of the case. All stretched out. It's 48 inches long, 10 inches high. And it also comes with the print version and, of course, the digital versions. And one other thing that I should mention is if you get the print version or the carrying box, you are also going to get 12 additional adventure modules, which are planned to be published 1 a month starting in November. And so these are all going to take place in the world of Empire of the Undying Sun, but they're going to be a bit disconnected from the main storyline. We might explore new areas, new creatures, or we might explore things that you've seen, but from a different point of view.
I just backed while you were talking. You were a good salesman.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And yeah.
That Peter Gilmore guy, whoever he is, he has a problem.
I just drew what he told me to. It came out of his head.
Yeah.
Blame me.
Blame Yang. There we go.
Yeah.
And it came out great.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So as the artists and art consumers of the bunch, for you guys, what makes good horror art? Like, what makes a good horror image?
Good question.
Yeah. Go on, Fabrizio. You go first.
I mean, for me, at least at minimum, there's got to be some mystery to it. There's got to be something that isn't totally spelled out, much like writing, leaving things up to the imagination. So that's why I think shadows and a lot of chiaroscuro stuff, you tend to see that. Like those images we just saw is a perfect example. That's the first thing I think of.
Yeah, a little bit of mystery unknown. Isn't that Lovecraft quote? The fear of the unknown? Yeah.
I mean, it's a personal thing for me, but if you're going to use color, don't color it like you color in a Rob Liefeld comic or some 90s image comics. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. Keep it simple. Keep it creepy. Something you got to like images that kind of just creep you out a little bit unnerving. It could be something as subtle as just something in the image is slightly off,
Right.
Something isn't quite right.
One of the scariest images I've ever seen with he painted it, and it was just like a woman, but her smile was just slightly too big for her face,
Mm-hmm.
And I just, oh my God, I just thought of it. I haven't seen it in 15 years and it still gives me the chills. To me, that was scarier than a werewolf eating bones or something like that. But I don't know. Just that creeped the hell out of me.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to sound very silly, but when I was a little kid, there was it was just a kid's book. It was the story of the three little pigs. And there was one image where the pigs were all sat in their little house and they were all like, no, 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 to the wolf. But the wolf's head was sort of like really slyly lying across the window ledge. You could just see sly little eye, and that scared the living hell out of me. It still freaks me out now. And it's just a kid's book.
Yeah.
But to see it, it's just like, how mentally disturbed were the people making these kids' books? What were they trying to do? You don't get it anymore. With kids' books.
It's something that scared me. That's not scary. Was the Muppets? Remember the Muppets? Remember the Swedish Chef?
Yeah.
Oh, the Swedish Chef.
I watched the Muppets. I couldn't wait for the Muppets. I was so excited for the Muppets. They advertised the Muppets in kindergarten. I was literally in kindergarten when it. So I had my whole family. We were all watching them up, and then the Swedish Chef came on, and he had human hands, and I screamed, jumped.
Oh yeah, of course you had real hand. Yeah,
right. It broke the rules. It was, you know what I mean. It was breaking, whatever. Like everybody else had Muppet felt hands and whatever.
Yeah, like three fingers and a thumb.
Yeah.
He had human hands. So that kind of scares me when everything is one way and then there's one thing that doesn't fit. That kind of scares me.
I'd completely forgotten about the hands on the Swedish Chef.
Yeah.
And my wife still teases me. She'll be like, trying to scare me.
Nice.
I will say what doesn't scare me, the Joker. And I feel like they've always tried to ratchet him up to make him scarier and scarier. But it's just one of those images that it's supposed to be scary. He's supposed to be creepy.
Familiarity breeds contempt, right?
Yeah. And like to me, Kevin from Sin City was the most terrifying, but he's just a guy with glasses, and no emotion.
I think the Joker is probably scarier if you've just got a black page with the smile. That's probably scarier than showing the whole, know. But
I think the problem with the Joker too is Batman's going through a lot of iterations over the year. So like Cesar Romero Joker did not help the scariness at all. Even Jack Nicholson, which was like very straightforward and gritty compared to what came before, even that was not so scary.
Yeah, I'd completely lose my nerd card for saying I never liked Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Oh God, I was going to be quiet because every time I say I couldn't say Jack Nicholson as the Joker, I lose subscribers. But I'm on Yang's channel, so he can.
I don't know.
That's right.
I think that was just a weird thing at the time where you'd never seen Jack Nicholson kind of do that before, or maybe I was expecting like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of thing going on.
I thought he was just obvious and phoned it in. I just thought, okay, Joker. And then when they cast Heath Ledger, I actually got excited. I was like, they're gonna make a creepy Joker. So I
did you like the Heath Ledger Joker?
Yeah, I did like. Well, first off, I don't like the Joker as a character. Like it's just overdone. It's just like every third issue is either Magneto or the Joker. Two characters I'm tired of. So, but
that's true.
If I have to pick, it's Heath Ledger's my favorite.
I think the thing about Heath Ledger's Joker, he kind of underplays it a bit, with the mumbling and he's just a diabolically evil bastard. But it's all very sort of sing-song, very like, and so he doesn't really care, and he's not really thinking about that. He doesn't care about people. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I had a friend who hated his performance. She would complain, he just licked his lips for 2 hours.
Yes. That's one of the things I liked. It was just kind of weird, like his mouth was always wet. But
well, when you're coming down from every pill imaginable, you imagine your mouth gets dry.
That probably wasn't acting. Yeah, probably wasn't acting. Yeah,
we have to keep that take. We can't keep filming this guy. He's like,
Yeah. Yeah, originally it got perfectly white face, but it was just all the spit and washed it off. Spit, sweat, the drug sweats.
So I want to ask you, now that I'm an official backer, I backed physical.
Yes.
I want the book. I need books in my hand. I don't want to look at
Okay.
files. How many total party kills per page is in your module? TPKs.
Well, that's up to you and up to your players. So that's an interesting question, because one thing I change almost right away is in 5th edition, if you're reduced to 0 hit points, you start getting death saving throws, which means you have to make a roll. And if you hit a certain number, you get a save. And so potentially you're talking like rolling 7 times to figure out if you actually died or not. And if somebody heals you for 1 point, you're back up and fine and in the fight. So starting off right away, you'll get involved in a caper, which is stealing this magnificent crystal that's like as large as a man's torso, but it belongs to the Black Pyramid. They worship the Black Ram. And well, since you're part of that, the Black Ram is going to curse you and remove those death saving throws. So right away,
no
the game
participation
is a lot
trophies
harder.
in the Eternal Sun world.
That's right. So
The
there's
Dark
that.
Souls of 5th edition.
And then there's the question, do you die in your dreams? Which you can absolutely die from being haunted. Your body will live on, but people will just think you're comatose. So it is up to the DM and up to rolls, and I make sure that players have a sporting chance, but a lot of it too is going to depend on them. If they run through the game like murder hobos, if their answer to everything is stab it, they will quickly find themselves without friends and start having lots of problems.
Murder hobos.
So yeah, you're big on role playing as well as
Sure.
Let's face it, hack and slash is fun.
Of course.
Kill the goblins, loot the corpse. That to me is like the if you reduce D&D down to its bare essence, but without the role playing, it's not fun.
Well, yeah.
We've all had those players, and I think we've all probably have been in our youth the character that just Franklin the Deathstalker just died, so now I'm Franklin the Deathwalker 2, and it's the same character, because you like that. But what do you guys? I assume we all role play if we're here. Did you guys like role playing? Like, and again, is this module reward? Is it more of like? I'm sure it's not Ravenloft where everything is just like, come on, let's get on with it. You're talking too much. It's not Gygax where it's this. Why is there even a dragon in this dungeon? How did it get in here? How does it eat? I like that happy medium.
Well, there are a few things that enable the role play more. So one is there's a ton of factions. You've got the Five Fingers, which is a criminal organization, each finger specializing in a different sort of crime. You've got the Adventurers League, which is sort of a bunch of upper wealthy class big game hunters who are in town looking for basically the cryptids of the world. You have various magicians. I mentioned before the Black Pyramid. Nobody knows why they're there. It's the only Black Pyramid outside of their home country. So you have all these organizations which, you're going to fall in with one or the other. So there's automatically going to be some friction between you and outside people, and probably between you and other party members over what you want to do. But in addition, I introduced talent trees. So in 5th edition, they have so it's got skills. The skills aren't mandatory, like you don't need a lock picking skill in order to use a lockpick. You just get bonuses to use it. It's easier for you. So Um, they had an unfortunate cancer that they called feats, which was just like terrible. Like for every
Mhm.
class and every race you pick, there's pluses and minuses, and you have to figure out like what style of play you want and pick it that way. And feats just sort of like made everything kind of the same.
Mhm.
So it wasn't very good. Instead, I get rid of the feats and I add a talent tree that goes and enhances the skills that you have. So, for example, there's a religion skill, and for each skill, there's different paths you can take. So, you can take the path of the prophet, which will give you bonuses to trying to convert people to your religion. You could go the path of the inquisitor, which it doesn't enable you to like push your religion, but you have intimate knowledge of other gods that are opposed to yours. And then, or you could go the path of the heretic, which gives you secret hidden knowledge about your religion and your god. But you're probably going to run afoul of the mainstream religious authorities. So by sort of doubling down on the skills, it gives you the ability to play the characters more to the way that you want.
So that begs the question, Fabrizio, what would your religion be then that you're going to form?
The one that I'm going to start.
Yeah, what is your religion?
The Hooverites?
It's based on
Hooverites.
coffee.
Yeah, I'm joining that religion.
The coffee religion, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess I already joined without realizing it then.
yeah.
It was all the plan. Everybody's addicted. It was a long
That's
con.
It's the easiest religion. People are like, oh, I didn't realize I was already. I'm a 5th level cleric. I didn't even know it.
Coffee. Speaking of,
I like what you said about the talents.
Mhm.
I had a problem. I had a group of guys that were playing that were a lot younger than me, and I don't know. I guess I'm more like a individualist than them, but they had a hard concept with my game in that I didn't have packages. Like one of the things I didn't like about D&D was like, okay, you went up a level, here's a package. So like everybody is kind of like a Lego character with like, okay, you start out with a red Lego, then a green Lego, and a yellow. You know what I mean? But there's only so many different color Legos. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
yeah,
everybody was just a character. And when you went up a level in my game, you just get a point. You get a training point, and you assign that training point. So in my game, if you wanted to be a thief, just do what thieves do. Like you're going to need stealth. You're going to need dexterity. You're going to be like that. So if you're a thief and you take your training point, okay, you trained in intelligence. Okay, it's good to be a smart thief. You know what I mean? You want to figure out. And then your next level goes up. You trained in hand-to-hand combat. And then your next level, you trained in, I don't know, like crossbow proficiency. You're still a thief, but you're a pretty lousy thief, is where I'm getting at. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a wizard, but you trained in strength, and you trained in crossbow proficiency, and you trained in horseback riding. Okay, dude, but where's your evocation magic training and all this stuff? So yeah, you're a wizard, but you are building it. And my last group, they seem to have a problem with that. They kind of just wanted like, here's your package, I was like, no, this is like an a la carte plate. You pick the beans, you pick the lettuce, you pick the meat, you pick the protein, and you're building a burrito. But this isn't McDonald's where you just here's your Happy Meal. And so I don't know. I like what you're doing rather than just like, okay, here's everything. Cookie cutter character.
So I mean, I think overall the 5th edition is a decent system that has some problems, but you sort of have to look and see like what things you can change and what things you have to modify to work with it. So for example, the long and short rest systems, where if you take a long rest, all your spells and all your hit points are back the next morning. And a lot of people don't like that. The problem is that mechanic is so tied in to the way characters are that you can't really change a long and a short rest. You can change the duration. Like there's alternate rules where like when you go to sleep at night, that's a short rest, and a long rest means you have to rest for a whole week. Now, you can keep the normal ones, which is sleeping overnight is a long rest, and taking a lunch break is a short rest. But you can start messing with that by not allowing them to take those breaks and not allowing them to recoup all the hit points and everything. So you could do it that way, but you can't get rid of it because so many of the character classes are built around that kind of a mechanic. So for me, like what you talk about with packages, like I'm fine with whatever Wizards wrote for that stuff, but we're kind of going to work around it. And a lot of the character builds or the class builds are kind of like you're saying, like here's the package. So I like with the talent tree, my aim was not to replace anything. It was just to modify it so that people can let how they imagine their character, they can start playing like that. Like I got one guy in one of my test groups. He's sort of a murderous robot who wants to he wants to cut apart people. He always asks, his party mates, "Hey, if you die, can I have your bones?" And that sort of thing.
Funny is Fabrizio asked me the same thing.
I know. Well, that's where I got the idea.
That's his former roommate behind him.
But so for one of the paths for the medical skill is surgery knowledge, and there are other ones that affect your abilities in combat and whatnot. But he was like, "Oh, but that's what I want to play." So he took that one, which doesn't give you necessarily a direct benefit to combat, but it really allows you to sort of play out the characters as you want.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping we get with this.
I like that. I assume Pete, you played Dungeons and Dragons, right? Or have played Dungeons?
Yeah. Not for a while. We kind of branched out into other things, other games.
Yeah. What are you playing now?
What do I play now? Comic artist. That's what I play now. All day, every day.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty much. Get up, draw.
Slightly less hit point damage on that one.
Yeah. It's
probably less good. Gold rewards too.
This doesn't do as much damage as like a quill.
Well, it's mightier than the sword. Come on, man.
That's a digital stylus. That's not mightier than anything. That's a real pen.
I've been joking, but I swear it's not a joke if it happens. That if my comic campaign gets to $100,000, that I would fly you guys to New York. We'll play Empire of the Undying Sun, but as our characters. Fabrizio will be Horace H. Hoover. Pete, who would you be, Pete? Which character?
Jack the Ripper.
Oh, I was gonna say I want you to be a Gem-Shock and wear that outfit.
I didn't draw Gem-Shock. That's not me.
But Jack the Ripper, that would be awesome.
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would you be?
Yeah.
You have to run the game. I'll be the patriarch.
Oh, okay.
We'll play. There we go.
There you go. We could do that.
There you go. 100K on my campaign.
I don't know. Improving Horace's language might be a little difficult.
Well, write down a couple of stock phrases.
Pre-scripted responses. Nope.
Even if it doesn't matter, just.
I remember the first time I saw H.H. Hoover, first picture I saw, I think it was might have been a cover, or maybe you'd just done some design pics or something. I was like, "You son of a! That is such a cool character."
It is, isn't it?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I was like, "Damn! Why didn't I think of that?"
Do you guys get jealous when you see I know Dave Brink. Every time that guy comes out with a comic, I'm like half mad. I'm like, this guy came up with such a good name for a superhero, such a good design. Oh man, I'm crossing off names off my list of potential characters that could appear in my comic.
I like weird shit. I like kooky, strange, weird shit, which is why I like H.H. Hoover.
Yeah, I love it.
Man,
yeah,
it's such a good comic.
Yeah, I just anything that's kind of out of the ordinary, but when you see it and when you hear the character's name or whatever, you think makes sense to me. Why has nobody else thought of this before?
Yeah.
Which is I mean, I always try and design characters to make them, they've got to be simple, but a little bit quirky, a little bit strange, something odd about them. Don't know whether I manage that. Hopefully. We'll see. We'll see when I launch my own book.
Oh,
Oh,
when are you going to do that?
we got a scoop.
I don't know. I've been working on stuff for a while now. In fact, the first book's finished. First book's like ready to print, but I'm working on the second one. I want to get ahead, you know.
Wow.
I want a nice cushion, cushion of safety. Only trouble is, I've done the first book, and then there's like a character in the first book he's in the second. It's like a new character that I introduce, and so I'm like, oh, he needs a little bit of a backstory. Do I put it in this? No, because it just cuts into the action and what's going on with this story. So I started doing a second book featuring this other character. So now I want to get the second book of the main story finished, and I want to get this guy's book done. And then I thought, oh no, this character needs one as well, and it's a rabbit hole. It's a whole rabbit hole. So maybe next year I'll be launching like 4 books.
Oh,
Wow.
Nice.
We'll see.
Is this something you're working on just by yourself, or is Mandy involved in this one too? Oh, okay.
No, it's just stuff I'm doing on my own. I do it all the time. But I usually get like 10 pages in, 15 pages, and like, because you sat doing it on your own, and you don't want to tell anyone else about it because you don't want to give things away, and you don't, So I'll get like 10, 15 pages in and just be like, and then lose interest.
oh, really?
Yeah. But this time I've gone like the whole hog. I've got books done.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
You must have some great stuff that you just put on the
Books.
side then.
Books done, trailers done, like merch, all designed.
Wow.
Everything's the whole onslaught of it, and I'm just gonna go.
Man, I don't know if I could
Take
That's
it.
awesome.
hold off on sharing it. That would drive me
Dude,
nuts.
I've shared little bits, but I've not said what they are, and people just think I'm just doing random crap.
Wow.
So is it more horror?
Yes.
You're still okay.
Oh, it's horror. It's horror. Yeah, definitely, 100%. Well, there's some action. You can't just do horror. You've got to have
Right.
some action. The first one. You see, I'm talking about this, and you don't know what I'm talking about. So, because it's all secret. But the first one, it's got horror. It's got action. Got a little bit of romance. And I don't mean romance. I don't mean sexy time. I mean, it's all there. There's some humor in it. I think.
I don't even want to speculate what horror and romance could summon.
It's all above board. It's all above. Yeah. The only unfamily friendly stuff is probably a bit of the gore. I do. Yeah, I like to do a bit of suspense and a bit of story, and then just like turn the page and oh my god, it's guts and bones and.
I mean, I do think romance is key, even if it's not like a focal point. Knowing that it's like in the background or like in parallel with the current story. I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing that kind of stuff with it, and I'm trying to do it like so it doesn't beat you over the head with it. So it's just like subtle little bits. I mean, some people might not even pick up on it, but it's there. It's just the way characters interact with each other, and how they start reacting towards each other and caring about each other a bit more than they did, things like that.
I wanted to ask you, Pete, that illustration that we saw that with like that ectoplasmic form. The first thing that you started talking about the other artist, whose name escapes me now. Yeah, that the first thing I thought of was Sidney Symes. Are you familiar with that artist at all?
Don't think so. What
Brazil?
I might be familiar with what he's done.
Oh, he's like an 18th century guy who carved in wood, and like he inspired
Right.
Lovecraft. That's where he got like ideas for Shoggoths and these horrible things. But this guy just, I once I saw it in a letter that of Lovecraft of his favorite artist was Sidney Symes. I was like, I gotta. That Sidney Symes did a couple of illustrations in those old pulp magazines, but this is just right out of that. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I've
Plasma.
tried drawing Lovecraftian stuff, and some of the creatures from the descriptions, and some of it's impossible. It's just impossible to draw. It's like what you're describing there is not possible.
Right. Well, when it's described as undescribable, how do you draw something that's, in the
like, just trying to think, is it the Dunwich Horror, or I can't remember which one, where there's the creature that appears in the library at Arkham?
Yeah, Wilbur.
And it's just, he describes it, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And it's really detailed description, but it's like, and I tried to draw it, but it's like,
I remember reading the Dunwich Horror as a kid. I think it was in like 6th grade, and I literally was trying to draw what they were describing, and like you said, it's like 4 pages of description that amount to, I don't know what
amount to a mess.
Yeah.
Because it's like part goat, part alligator, part this, part that. But I'm like, okay. Like,
but then there's tentacles, and then there's like a cosmic spiral running through it, and blah, blah, blah. Jesus, Mr. Lovecraft, you asshole. and then he's got really simple stuff like, fish people. Yeah. And Cthulhu's pretty obvious, or Cthulhu, however you want to say it.
Cthulhu.
But then the more cosmic horrors are just like, it's a cloud in space that's a little bit darker than all the other clouds in space, and you can see stars through it and around it, and whatever. Mad.
You said in this module that you have rules for what, becoming a deity or interacting with deities?
Well, both. So, although you don't know it when you begin, your characters are sort of on the path to becoming, at the minimum, demigods, if not full gods. And like as you play more, it starts becoming more apparent. Like, kids confuse you for gods because images that look just like you are in children's books of like. It'd be like if a kid had a book of Thor, and he's like, "You look just like Thor."
Oh, cool.
So there's stuff like that, but I do have simple mechanics to creating religions and to both playing it better. I'll break it down into 4 categories. Like, one is prayer. Every god's going to require some kind of prayer, whether it's you just say nice words, or like you have Muslims, they kneel on the carpets facing Mecca. Or Sufis, they spin around. It could be like that. You have acts of service, which is you are helping your community in some way. So it could be like walking old ladies across the street, feeding the poor. If your god is like a god of the dead, maybe they want you to go around and kill any sort of undead or any ghosts that might be around because... they belong in the underworld, not up here in the real world. So that might be it. There's tithing. You got to pay, traditionally in Judaic-based religions, it'd be 10%, but it could be in other things. Like you could pay in grain. You could pay with your time. Like, I'm going to donate a certain amount of time to the church. I've got one guy, he worships a goddess of fertility who is also the goddess of alcohol. And she likes to get everybody drunk so they bone and they make more babies. So part of his tithing is he has to brew alcohol for people and, give it out.
Nice.
And then the last is acts of devotion, which are things that you do specifically to show your devotion to the god. So it could be like a tattoo, or you wear certain clothes, you get a certain haircut, I don't know, cutting off a finger, whatever it is. So if you follow those,
fancy hat,
exactly, big pointy ones maybe. if you follow those 4 steps, you can like easily create infinite numbers of religions that feel a bit different.
Cool. I was just thinking like a druid god, and you're carrying around a plant, like a potted plant, like
Yeah.
like the character in The Professional with the, I can't think of
Leon.
Leon.
Yeah, his best friend walking through the dungeon with it's my plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that could be like if your powers come from you worshiping nature, maybe you have to take seeds into barren areas and try to get them to grow, or you have to go out of your way to protect local flora and fauna from invasive species or things like that.
So do you have all the traditional character classes in this? Like, could you be a druid, a ranger, or
I did not alter any of the character classes from 5e, and they have a pretty wide variety. I think that there's some like there was an illusionist, I think in 1e, but that gets wrapped up in the wizarding class, and like there was an acrobatic class that's kind of just a fighter. So there's that, and then I have one custom class, which is someone who is almost like Rogue from the X-Men, where they don't really have a lot of powers on their own, but they can take powers from other people and other creatures.
Oh, cool.
So by touching it, and also, generally player class races don't have the ability to regain hit points. This one does, but the way that you heal somebody else is you would touch them and you would take their damage. So like they'll get 10 hit points back, but you lose 10 hit points.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Or like if they lost an eye, you could touch them and their eye regrows and yours falls out until it slowly regrows back.
Wow.
But
I'm too selfish to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to do that.
But it also has other features like you could steal the breath weapon from a dragon.
Oh, that I want. The blue dragon shoot lightning out of my mouth.
It's just like a genie thing, when you make a wish with a genie, you don't quite get what you wanted, so you get the dragon breath, but then it just burns your whole face off.
Yeah. Oh, it hurts as you breathe. Oh.
Yeah, you're literally scorching the inside of your mouth while you're doing it.
And also as you level up, you don't necessarily have to take it from somebody else. You can copy somebody else's abilities. So if you have,
what's the name of that class?
I call it the empath.
Okay.
So if you like let's say you have a ranger, who has the ability to speak with that, or a druid can speak with animals or something. Eventually, you'd be able to copy that ability.
Okay. Yeah, we've talked a lot. I stopped playing D&D at second edition. Those books were expensive for junior high school kid, and I'm going to get my money's worth out of them even till this day. So there's a lot of character classes that are new to me. Like to me, it was the fighter. And then the fighter was broken down into paladin and ranger, and that was pretty much it. And then there was the magic user, which was basically a magic user, an illusionist, and then cleric was just generic cleric. And I think they were experimenting with not shoehorn, but like fine tuning the clerics to like a cleric of Thor had different abilities than say a cleric of Apollo or whatever. Now, but I'm on Twitter and I see people talking about warlocks and summoners and sorcerers and do you know, I don't know. I just, do you think there's a point where it's like a distinction without differentiation and they're just making up cool names, or are these things really that like, is there really a difference between say a sorcerer and a warlock or a mage,
Well, a sorcerer and a warlock, I would say yes, but a sorcerer and a wizard, like only to a degree. I think that they went a little too far with having too many different classes as opposed to having different subclasses. So like you were talking about like a cleric of Thor or a cleric of Zeus or something, that would be a different subclass of a cleric. I think they divided it too much. A sorcerer should really just be a subclass of a wizard. The difference is, a wizard you have to study. in order to gain magical knowledge, whereas a sorcerer, you're born with it. And there's a
Okay.
couple, like you don't get to have as many spells, but then you get sorcerer points that could allow you to do things like you can double the spell, or um, you're able to use it with less of a cost or something like that.
Do you think it gets too
Warlocks,
complicated?
Hmm?
Do you think these systems get too complicated? Like it would have been like okay,
Kind
us
of.
four were sitting around playing, and then I brought my friend Phil Moskowitz over, who's never played before. With and I'm not talking about your module. I'm just talking about D&D in general. Is there a high barrier to entry to somebody who's never played before?
I don't think so. 5th edition is the most popular edition that there ever has been.
Oh,
It's
really?
got the largest user base. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
By
good.
far. Well, but 5th edition had a couple things that earlier editions didn't. Once you got out of the 70s, we had the whole satanic panic over here, which a lot it became uncool to play. Whereas 5th edition, you started to have YouTube channels and you have live plays where you can actually watch actors playing D&D, and it's kind of fun. So it had that, and then also it had COVID. When people were stuck at their house with nothing to do, a lot of people took up the hobby, and now there's easy ways to play online, whereas there weren't before. I had all the books for 2E, but I could never play because I never knew anybody else who played.
Do you play in person, or do you play with, via Zoom or whatever?
Well, I used to play in person, and then COVID happened. And so all the people in my test groups are, all over the place. So I'm currently doing that. Although hopefully early next year, I want to start another in-person group.
Yeah, I tried playing a Dungeons and Dragons game via Zoom with and they were nice guys, but I know you got to smell the Funyuns.
Yeah.
Just
When I used to play a lot, there was no internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'd start on a Friday night, and eventually, Sunday night rolls around. It's like, all right, let's wrap it up, and the room would just stink.
Yeah, you didn't even realize, but it was 18 hours later. You know what I mean? Like we would like reach over for a beer and like, did we drink six cases of beer? It was so much fun.
And no one would go home. I'd get up in the morning. There'd be bodies.
Old pizza.
People lying around. Let's go again.
So I will say, for me, I'm a new player. Like, I played in college a long time, and a friend of mine picked up 5e, and it was fine for me. There's still a few little things that my brain couldn't quite get over. But something like this, I mean, I'm gonna back it and basically hand it to my DM because I'm not a DM. I'm just a player. There is a distinct line in the sand between those two.
Yeah, there's if you follow D&D circles recently, there's a big hullabaloo about like no prep games versus how much should you prep.
God, I used to prep for weeks and weeks and weeks.
I found a notebook of one of my campaigns, and and it's one of the only few D&D campaigns from start to finish. It took 2 semesters of college because we were all living together. We would play, and we finished the whole campaign. And I'll still say that maybe 40% of my notebook we went through. I could recycle 60% of my notes and characters and monsters and stuff, and do it a whole other camp. That's how much I used to prep. I don't have the time or energy to do that anymore.
Although, admittedly, sometimes I would pretend to be reading from my notes and just making shit up as I went along.
Well, you got to, improvise is. You got to, because there's always that one character that did the one thing you didn't think of.
Yeah, and it's like, shit, what are you doing behind there? I'm nothing. Drawing a map.
You roll the dice 3 times to make it look like you're consulting a chart.
Yeah. Oh no, you're fine.
I'm going to be going because I'm going to be doing it's clobbering time on my channel. But I want to ask one more question. I'm sorry for dominating everything, but what do you think about Yang? Oh, Pete, you guys of like fudging rolls. I know some guys I see them on Twitter like, if you're fudging rolls, you're cheating. Like, what do you think about that? As the DM, not as a player.
It all depends. It depends on what's going on, how long you've been playing, what's happening, who it is, what the situation is. You know, you've just got to go with the flow and be nice sometimes, or sometimes just be a complete dick.
Well, I remember one time we were playing, and all the plays you could just see I was losing them. They were just like, if we had phones at this point, everybody would have been on their phone, but everybody was like, And I just, because I made it too easy. I just made it too easy. It was a superhero game, and they were beating the crap out of the villains. And then one of the guys went, and I just said, "You missed." And then I rolled the dice. Critical hit, boom! And everybody got up in the chair, and I put I totally lied, but I had to do it because I felt like their nights of fun was dependent upon me, and I was failing. So like, all right, so I'm going to do a little bit of nudge, nudge, wink, wink to get everybody to have fun again. And nothing straightens out than a threat of danger. You know what I mean?
I think the main question is, are you playing a game or are you doing cooperative storytelling? Because games, by definition, have an element of chance.
Right.
So if you're fudging the rolls, you're not leaving things to chance. In which case you're doing cooperative storytelling, which if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But they're two very different things. And I think people need to be on the same page in terms of,
I just can't, I couldn't let someone die within the first 20 minutes of playing and then have to sit there like and just be the gopher to fetch things from the fridge.
That's why
that would be mean.
People, why don't you roll up a couple characters just in case?
Yeah.
Somebody who just joined and they never played before, I'm going to go easy on them. Like the orcs are not going to target them; they'll target Yang, things like that. But,
orcs should always target Yang.
Yeah, always target Yang. But if it's your sixth time playing and I'm just going to kick open that door that I could hear monsters growling behind it. I got no sympathy for you there. But I'm going to get going because I'm going to do my own It's Clobbering Time on my channel. But good luck.
Thanks for coming.
Good one.
And everyone, if you haven't yet, go back. Go back Heroic Tales, which I'll post the link to here.
It's on Indiegogo right now with a cover by Mike Gustovich.
Great comic about a father saving the world, but getting home in time for dinner.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty much. It's easier to fight villains than come home with a wife and 7 kids.
It's hard to fight villains on an empty stomach.
But I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna prep. I'm getting messages from people already. Good luck. I'll see you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
See ya.
So, as a player, I will say, do I like as far as fudging rolls? I do want a threat of danger, knowing that we could die, but I do appreciate, whatever you need to do to make the story interesting, I'm okay with. And if that means fudging rolls or, doing things that aren't like by the book, I'm 100% cool with that.
Yeah, I do think on a situational basis, maybe like, okay, I really got to wrap this up. I need to leave. You kill the monster. There you go. Or, the monster wipes out your parties. Make new characters for next week.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, you could always just say, "And we'll leave it there and continue next time."
Yeah. I mean, I love the role playing in the planning part of the fight. Not more than the fight, but almost as much as the fight.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about, having to roll is like everybody has on days and off days. So that's what really sort of sways thing is like some days you'll hit everything and it'll be amazing and you wipe out this horde that the DM thought was going to take you all day to kill. And then other days, just like nothing goes your way.
Yeah. Lady luck.
And if you fudge the dice rolls, then you miss out on those highs and lows, I think.
True.
Have you always just play D&D, or did you play other stuff?
Well, actually, I started out with Marvel superhero role playing game when I
Right.
was a kid. That was my first one, and that was when did we start playing? That was probably around the time of like when all the Image guys were, at their heyday in Marvel. So it was a good time to be into superhero role playing games. But I played a bunch of other ones. So after we're done here, I actually go on the Dungeon Delver, who he's popped in a couple times here. He has a channel, and we're going to be playing Classic Gamma World, which takes place
Holy
in the
moly.
yeah. So that's
Dude.
a post-apocalyptic world where
Yeah.
you have mutated animals and people, and but you still have old technology, so you can take a bubble car to the moon or to the depths of the ocean, or
Yeah.
you might be fighting
cool.
dog-like things for scraps of tin cans.
I mean, I started with basic D&D, I think. Back in the day, was it a red book? And then we got expert D&D, that was a blue one. And then we started getting into things like Traveller and Car Wars and all these weird little games that I can't remember who made them. They came in these really tiny little boxes, and it was basically a game in a tiny pocket-sized box. Fantastic. Play those. And there was a Looney Tunes role-playing game. Yeah, we played that. And then we got into the Middle-earth role-playing game. Yeah. Played Middle-earth role-playing game for a long time.
Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people who really like the newer versions of that too.
Oh, and Call of Cthulhu, that was fantastic.
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu's great. Well, actually, again, with the Dungeon Delver on his channel, in October, we switch over from Gamma World to Call of Cthulhu for a month.
Fantastic. Keep check on that sanity. Good God. It's like it's going good, it's going great. Now you've gone completely insane and you've just run off and dived into the ocean. Or
have you ever played
bled.
Fabrizio? Have you ever played Call of Cthulhu?
No, I'm familiar with it, but I've never played it. I think the only other game we've done, like, what is it, Monster of the Week or something? That's a game. I think there's another one. There's maybe a few, but I didn't really like any other than legit D&D. But Call of Cthulhu would be the only other one I think I would like to actually play.
Good fun.
It's fun, especially if D&D tends to be great, but it tends to go from like Evil Dead to Army of Darkness, to like where everything is kind of schlocky at a certain point. Whereas like if you try to keep Call of Cthulhu somewhat straight, then it's a lot of fun. But even then, it's like, hey Fabrizio, why don't you read from this book? So
I ain't reading nothing. Nope. I don't understand the language. The letters on the page slowly transform and you can read it. Yeah, still not reading it. Read it out loud. No.
So I actually had something in real life happen to me recently, if we have a moment.
Yeah.
I'm at work. A coworker comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, I clean out houses, on the weekends with my brother or whatever."
Oh God.
And we're cleaning out this house, and this particular man, he was a computer science professor, and him and his wife abruptly left. They moved to Finland, and he killed her. He killed his wife. And he's currently in an asylum for the rest of his life. Well, his house has been abandoned for like 7 years. He's like, "I found this book. And it's got some weird writing in the back. I thought you would like it."
Gee. There's a weird kind of cover on it. It's almost like parchmenty. Yeah, dry skin.
So it was an Aleister Crowley book, which is fine, whatever.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Not the creepiest thing in the world, but in the back there was like a handwritten thing, like some code or whatever. And he said, well, he's a computer scientist and he has all these cryptography like books. He's into music and the occult and computer science. So this whole like weird mix of things. He's going back, and I'm like, and he also said there's just symbols painted in acrylic everywhere. He picked up a couple of guitars, and there's just like slobby symbols on the guitars and the amps.
Totally not possessed.
No.
It's crazy. So I'm sort of in the
Maybe
middle of
if you
that.
get the guitars and the amp, you'll become the most famous rock star in the world.
Yeah.
But pay a price.
Exactly.
Or the devil might come down to Pennsylvania and
Yeah.
you have to play him for a
Second you
golden guitar.
pluck a string, it'll cut your finger and the blood will spill on the guitar, and oh my god.
Yeah. So I'm in the middle of a real life Call of Cthulhu, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
The blood will spill on an old Hoover in the corner.
Yeah, I'll ask if he has any like vacuum cleaners at the house.
Yeah, yeah. Tell him you'll take the vacuum cleaner.
Have you guys ever played a game called Dread?
The Judge Dredd role-playing game.
Oh, I didn't know there was one. But not that one.
Yeah, there was back in the day. Yeah, that's another one we played back in the day. Yeah, because we were
Oh, that
big into
sounds like fun.
2000 AD. Yeah, yeah.
That almost sounds like Gamma World in some ways too.
Well, we played the Dread game, kind of limited with the rules and stuff, because it was only, obviously a bit of a catch-in sort of thing. So when we started playing Gamma World, we were literally just playing Judge Dredd.
So Dread is a tabletop role-playing game that instead of rolling dice, you pick blocks out of a Jenga tower.
Oh.
Whoa.
And it's great. Like a lot of the modules are, it's all horror, but a lot of the modules are sort of like 80s horror themed, where like
Oh, right, yeah.
I played one where you're like rafting down a river in Grand Canyon, and then you end up in a tunnel, but there's things in the tunnel, that sort of thing. And like another one, we woke up in like a retired hospital. We're all stuck in there. We have to figure the way out. But it's great because the Jenga tower really adds, really gets your
cool.
adrenaline pumping. Because in the beginning of the game, like a lot of the roles, a lot of the times you have to pick, are super easy. So you get to use whatever your character's abilities are and whatnot. But it's like once things start going, and then it's like, oh my God, am I going to live?
That's cool.
And it makes you way more anxious than you'd ever get rolling a couple D20s.
If you don't like someone, you can always nudge the table. Yeah, no, I like the sound of that. What's it called? Dread.
Dread, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have
there's
to
something about, like,
rally the troops and get them round.
anytime you have like physical stuff, like as a player, if the DM like hands me, I don't care if it's a piece of crappy printer paper with something on it, it immediately is like my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's a letter,
yeah.
I don't care what it is, like any physical thing.
I was always a fan of that as a DM. Like something on a slip of paper, just hand it to one person, and everyone else is like,
Yeah.
what did they say?
Yeah.
Not telling you.
Yeah, that's that actually is one thing that I do with this campaign guide is there's a bunch of handouts. Like at one point you're searching this house for journal entries to find a code to get into the secret room. And I've made it so that there's downloadable PDFs that you can just easily print off and cut up and give to your players, something a little bit more interactive.
That's awesome.
That's good. Yeah. Less work for the DM as well.
Yeah. Well, that is one thing, talking about the prep is I've really discovered that despite like the arguments in the semi-pro game playing community, there's a lot of people who like to play, but they just don't have a lot of time. They've got work, they've got kids. So I try to simplify all the prep into like, okay, here's what you need for this chapter. Here's the enemies that might show up. Here's the maps, here's this and that, so that you can do the minimum amount of work should you want to in order to, just get there and play. But
What you want.
that's just me.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Makes
all
sense
on
to
a
me.
time schedule. Like whenever we play, it's like, we're looking at the clock. We got to go home. We got to work the next day, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I don't have time for anything anymore. Well, I mean, you got your commissions and this, that, and the other, and you're working on things. And if I'm not doing that, I feel bad if I'm not working on my own stuff. It's like, you sat and watched 2 movies there, and you could have drawn half a page or whatever. Yeah.
So do you have anything coming out soon, or
Me? Not soon. Well, we're working on Super Dead 2 still. I don't know when I'm going to do this other thing. We'll see. Most of my time is split between working on the stuff I'm supposed to be and then like commissions. A lot of commissions at the moment, which is cool.
Excellent.
Not just comics either. I'm getting like working on an album cover for someone at the moment, and
awesome.
That's cool.
it's nice. It's nice to take a break from doing the comics to an album. It's like a gatefold album cover, and it's set during the apocalypse. The scene is it's the apocalypse, and the band are all sat there in the all lounging around by the van and just looking at over just shit happening. Stuff's
cool.
going on. So I'm painting it. It's all good. It's all painted and lovely. And
that's awesome.
So I drew the band, and it's like that kind of. Do you remember? Or have you ever seen like the animated videos of like the Ramones and stuff like that? That style of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of similar thing to. I mean, I think the Sex Pistols did it as well back in the day. So it's that kind of cartoony but kind of detailed and realistic at the same time. And I drew them all, and it looked fine. And they were like, "Yeah, that's awesome." And then like 2 days later, better idea. So now I've got to redo that all. Yeah, it's the apocalypse. There's nuclear waste. Why don't we turn the band into mutants?
Nice.
So now they're arguing. The current argument is which 2 band members are going to be the 2 heads of the one person. The mutant with 2 heads. Yeah. So it's either going to be the 2 that love each other the most or despise each other. We'll see how that one goes. But it's fun. It's fun. Stuff like that, and I'm just doing bits and pieces.
Any word on Jack the Ripper 3?
Stay tuned.
Ooh.
Stay tuned. Things are afoot. And I can't say any more than that yet.
Nice.
Who knows? I mean, maybe the thing I'm working on is a Jack the Ripper. Who knows? Who knows? I just like confusing people and being very mysterious and not getting shouted at.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And so how's Horus going?
Good. Currently working on issue 4, slowly, very slowly. I don't know, maybe that'll be towards the end of the year. Maybe a crowdfunder for that.
Do you ever get the problem where you'll draw be drawing the book, and then you'll go back and look at it and just have to redo stuff because it bugs you? Or do you go back and change? Yeah. It's a nightmare. I mean,
it's
one of the things I'm working on at the moment. I've got the print file done. It's there. I've drawn it. I've coloured it. I've lettered it. It's all done. And then I'm flicking through the PDF, and I'm like, oh. And I spot something. And it's like, no, it's fine. But it keeps sticking. Yeah. So go back.
Yeah, it's
need
terrible.
To stop doing that. I need to let things go.
I know. I got.
It's there forever. It's there forever, dude. So.
I know. It's out. It's out there. We'll be haunted by it. Like on your deathbed, somebody will open up a page, and it'll be your least favorite page you've ever drawn.
With me, it's like I like show all the new stuff. It looks cool, and then somebody will find a book from like 7-8 years ago or whatever, and be like, "Yeah, but this is shit." Yeah, it is. It is. I admit it. I just want to go back and redraw old books that I've done, but I know I shouldn't. It's fatal.
Yeah, you just got to move forward. I just listen to people with good quotes to get me through it, And I don't care how cheesy the quote is. Perfect is the enemy of good. You name the cliche quote, I'll just just say it over and over just to keep moving forward.
Just to keep going. Yeah. You have to let the birds fly the nest.
Do you guys think that's something like Jim Lee or a Todd McFarlane or even a Bernie Wrightson had the same kind of issues?
Bernie, yeah, definitely. Definitely perfectionist. Yeah. Maybe Jim Lee, maybe not so much these days, I don't think. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I wonder. Because some of those artists, they plateaued and they've done the same drawing, it seems, for 20 years.
This is it. When some people get a style and get to a certain level and they're just happy with that and they stick with that and just keep doing that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when the commissions keep rolling in, it's hard to change things up.
Yeah.
Yeah. The worst one is when I've done a commission and I've sent stuff, it was a cover for something or whatever, and then, because a lot of the times you'll do something and it won't see the light of day or be in public for like another year, or maybe even more sometimes. So you'll suddenly see it being like shared out on social media. Oh, this is our new book. This is our new thing, and you'll just die a little bit inside because I could do that so much better now. Or I wish I'd just changed. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's hard being an artist.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I think it was something like this, about being an artist is essentially your skill doesn't get better, but your ability to see something gets better. So you notice the differences.
This is exactly the way I think it works. Yeah. You've always been able to do it. You just haven't been able to see properly. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that leads to the consistency, right? Because like when you're young, you can occasionally belt out an amazing drawing.
Mm-hmm.
But then, the next one you go to is like a piece of crap. And you can't necessarily understand, like, well, why is this one so good and this one isn't? But, as you get better, you can be like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't do that. And then...
Yeah. I'm terrible for when I'm drawing faces. I make the noses too big. So every time I draw a face now, I'm like, right, now go back, erase the nose, draw it smaller, you dick. And I'm right every damn time. Yeah, everyone, like, the first time I draw it, they look like a jet. Like, no, especially with women. Drawing female faces, make the noses small. I blame manga. And their tiny little noses.
That really has affected people's perceptions of things. But first, thank you, BGC, and thank Peter while he's here. He did quite a number of these. There's a couple that I don't know why I don't have the other one you did, the Android one up there.
Oh.
We'll have to add that to the campaign. I kind of forgot about that one, but
I was like thinking, right, Android, but it's D&D. Okay, don't do steampunk because that's just stupid. So try and figure out some kind of, I don't know. Okay, well, maybe a bit of magic involved in there, and who knows.
That's the thing. A lot of this is the whole storyline is wizards gone wrong. Like they should have known not to do things, but they did. And so where that character comes in, the players don't necessarily know it, but they find themselves in this cave where, the pirates will help them if they get rid of all these mechanical things in this cave. And you come to find out that the wizard used that cave on this island as a research laboratory where he learned how to strip someone's soul from their body and implant it into other objects.
Yeah.
And so he used that to make
working on
slaves
that, drawing all the stuff in the background, all the weird like glass tubes with bits of bodies in there, and there's it's a shame you haven't got the bed in the background with just like something bad's happened there. Something really bad's happened near that bed. And I got an owlbear in. I said I'd get an owlbear in somewhere on one of the bits of art. There's an owlbear skeleton hanging from the ceiling.
Like this looks so wet. Like to get the
Yes.
fluid like mechanics is so good.
Mm. It's just that because it's digital. That's what it is. So it's like just getting your layers and like things slightly hinted behind, and then just little dots of white to make it look wet and shiny. The old tricks are the best.
And I have to say, I was a little worried when I gave you this one because I'm like, oh, I don't know. Originally, I had hired another artist to do some of the images that you did. And he just took the money and ran. But I was, when he was talking to me, he kind of like didn't seem to understand what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'm not clear enough. And it's like, yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah, no, I've just got a warped mind. You have to rein me back most of the time. But no, we don't want the Harvard corpse hanging out of there with guts spilling all over the place. No, keep it supple. I can't even remember. I can zoom in on my screen. There's a bit, there might be bits of like equipment and stuff hidden away in the gelatinous. I can't remember. There's crap in there. There's stuff in there. There's guts. You can see some kind of stomach and things going on inside there. Yeah. And then all the way on the right hand side, there's almost a face coming out of the edge.
Yeah.
See the nose and the eye? Yeah. And it's not, but it is, but it's not. Yeah. Looked at a lot of kind of jellyfish and kind of strange stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, for me, that's always the best kind of images for horror, when there's always something that the viewer brings to it, You shouldn't necessarily spell everything out. You should let you should let people also like add their own, like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever.
Yeah. You got to leave something to the imagination.
And then, can you imagine these people up here? They open the hatch.
Weird.
Like, no.
For some reason, Ming the Merciless is the mage.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. There was where was that other one? The nope, not that one. Well, it must be up here. The pirate ship one. Talking about Ming the Merciless. So there was the guy who drew this. His name is Ang Hor Kung. He's from Malaysia, and I'm like, okay, it's a pirate ship battle, and he starts. He drew a bunch of these guys with like those, Chinese Vietnamese style conical hats.
Yeah,
and like I definitely didn't tell him to do that, but I was like, oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Yeah. Pirate to us is very different to a pirate to someone from a different country, different place in the world.
Yeah. But,
that's cool.
But then you still have like a wizardy guy in robes on the bottom right. And, you have like some guys, sort of typical pirates here,
That's very cool image with all the negative space and stuff. It's a bit, that's bordering on Mr. Rights, and that is. Damn it.
Yeah, the guy. Oh, man. This guy was like a real interesting character. He was only like 18 or 19. And I hired him for 10, and he only did 5. And the last 2 was like pulling teeth to get the guy to do. And then he disappeared. And it was one of these situations where it sounded like a stereotypical story, because I was talking to him before I hired him, and he liked Wrightson, he liked John Byrne and a lot of these classic guys. And he's like, yeah, my dad really wants me to be a doctor. And I'm like, holy shit, you could do this and you're gonna be a doctor?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I really want to do this. So I don't know if he was like trying it out for a year, or like, doing it on the sly while he was trying to go to med school or something. But I keep looking for the guy. I mean, for one reason is I want to give him his complimentary copy. I don't know. I don't know
I
where he
mean,
is. And it's a
yeah.
shame. It's
I mean, that must happen a lot. When I was a kid, my art teacher said to me, because he knew I wanted to do illustration or whatever, and he kind of said to me, "Nah, don't. Just do something else." I'm like, okay, I'm crap then. Okay.
Yeah. Do you
Jeez.
think these days it's easier or harder for young people to break into an art field where they can actually feed themselves?
Oh, it's got to be almost impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, you must know as Fabrizio, when if you're doing a commission or something, you quote someone a price, they guarantee they can get it done for like a tenth of the price by some random.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just glad because I did all the art school and stuff like that, and then I kind of got a day job as well, and the day job took over, and I was a chef for like 26 years.
Wow.
And then I'm kind of glad, like 10, no, was it 10? About 10 or 12 years ago, I, I stopped doing that. I thought, right, no, let's just do art. So I quit the job and starved for years, trying to scrape together. I'm just glad I did it when I did, because now it's got to be crazy impossible, especially with people just using AI and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I think
That's, I don't think AI is going to affect what I do or what Fabrizio does, because we kind of got our names out there already,
Mm-hmm.
But I think for people starting off trying to get like commissions, trying to scrape together work, it's got to be
Yeah.
really difficult.
yeah.
Yeah, it's got to. Yeah, especially if they're trying to get money, trying to get something they can actually live on. I
Yeah.
mean, even I don't charge like huge amounts, but I get people who vanish after I give them a quote. But yeah.
Yeah.
And you can
I
clear
mean,
they're either going to find someone a lot cheaper or like, okay, stable diffusion.
that's yeah. I kind of forgot about AI. I mean, I do think in some ways it's a lot easier, because like in the '90s, I really wanted to make comics, but I
Mm,
had no idea how. I mean, I knew that there was like a PO box I could send letters to Marvel to, and letters to DC, but I had no idea how you would go about like publishing an indie book. I at the time it was mostly comic stores. I didn't know how to contact all of them. It was too complicated a process for most people, which is sort of why you ended up seeing, a lot of people around New York or maybe LA who were the ones who had access to that industry. Whereas
mm-hmm.
now you could be like in like, I don't know, like this guy was, I guess, in the middle of a rice paddy in Malaysia, and you can figure it out.
Yeah.
but but yeah, I do think the biggest threat to AI is going to be to those people just starting out. It's going to
Mm,
be real hard to make any money, because there's always going to be a bottom rung of people who are like, no, I'm just not going to pay you, no matter what your wage is. I'm not going to pay you at all. I'll pay you in putting your name on it or something. That kind of
exposure.
crap.
I'll pay you with
Yeah,
Yeah.
exposure.
exposure.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've had people try that. No.
I I mean, I agree with, now that there's YouTube and all this information out there, I think it's easier to get better quicker, you know.
Yeah.
mhm.
I do think, but as far as breaking in and making money, man, I don't even, yeah, I don't know how. Like, unless you get something that goes super viral and
Yeah.
your name just gets pulled out of a
Yeah.
hat kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you could have the most beautiful looking comic book ever or whatever, most beautiful illustrations, and you still might even with the internet, you still might never get seen. You might get one or
Yeah.
two people who are like, "Oh, this guy's cool," and then but it's a passing image on someone's feed, timeline, or
Yep.
whatever. And it's
Yeah, I mean, I do you guys know Wes, was it in West Sea World? He does like Super Plumber Sisters and a lot of
Oh, Tyler.
Tyler. Oh my god.
Tyler.
Yeah. Tyler. I think he's sort of got his finger on the right pulse in terms of like, going forward, how you're going to have to start building audiences, especially for the people coming up.
Yeah. And it's, but everybody's trying to do that. So it's just...
It's rough.
It is rough. Yeah. Like I say, glad I kind of got a foot in the door when I did.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little pessimistic about the future, but I hate to say that verbally. Like,
I don't know. I think it'll be all right. I had, I don't know if you guys know Richard Witters. He was the art director for Wizards of the Coast. He did a lot of Magic the Gathering, and then he's the one who was in charge of the Dungeons and Dragons 5e, the 2014 version. So much so that everything you see now in AI is basically like copying the art style that he developed.
Didn't he start? Isn't he part of one of the lawsuits against one of the?
He might be. I'm not.
I think he is, because he kind of got sick of people tagging him and stuff, and it's like, no, that wasn't me. That was AI.
But I asked him, they've more or less just straight up copied your style. Does that concern you? Does that worry you? And he was like, no, because part of being an artist, whether you're fine art or more design, part of it is problem solving. And you have to know what works, whereas AI doesn't, which is why everything has a sameness to it, and even if you copy the style of someone, like you could say, give me a dragon in Frazetta style. Frank would have drawn his different. There would be a certain life to it. It would directly answer the problem of like, I have to make this guy who's with the dragon look like the hero, or this woman like she's taming the savage beast or something. He would have known how to put that kind of spin to make it more relatable, whereas AI just can't understand that. It can say like, well, this has a 87% chance of being liked by humans or something, but it can't understand the whys, which is why you'll always need real artists. And I think one of the problems right now is that AI is still so new. It looks amazing, and people are sort of like fooled by that. Whereas like 10 years from now, no one's going to want the same looking garbage, And I assume AI will improve, but it's the humans who are going to understand how to make that relatable. It's like in when was it? It was early 2000s, like 2001 or something. I was teaching design classes, and I went to this festival, and it was a printmaking festival. And some guy, he printed, all it was is like trees, and then they used the Photoshop ripple filter, and he won first place. And the judges were like, "Wow, that's amazing! We've never seen anything like that." But you would never win first place doing that today.
No,
they'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" No, you don't even get in.
I mean, anything, to be honest, a lot of the time, if I'm scrolling through X or whatever, and I see some really cool artwork, my first thing in my eyes are looking over it, and it's like, is that? It's by someone you've never heard of, and maybe that person's got 3 followers, and so it gets the brain ticking, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, is that AI? Is it?
Yeah, I think that what you mentioned before about it's like the difference between translation and interpretation, maybe.
Yes.
Yes. I haven't thought about that, but that's I can see that where we will start to be able to pick that out much better than we are right now.
I guess it's kind of like back when certain people in comics started using 3D models. It's like at the time when it first happened, it was like, wow, that's fucking cool. But now you see it, and it's like you can spot it a mile off.
Yep.
And I know what a poser model looks like. I recognise that.
Yeah.
Plus, it doesn't have the energy, and it doesn't have, there's no life to it. It's kind of a bit.
Exactly. Like there's been a lot of criticism of so D&D released another version of 5e this year. And the new book has been pilloried, all over the place, because a lot of it is very clearly AI, even though they say it's not. It's totally AI, and that's part of the problem, because a lot of the images, even if they're not 100% AI, they have that same like stale quality. And there was like, the dwarves baking muffins in the forge.
Oh,
And,
and the orcs, the happy orc family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Mexican orcs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't an image where are they in a tavern or they're eating and there's like tacos and stuff?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, so I
which
do
I
a
mean,
show,
okay, tacos could exist and whatever, but
even in that, so I do a show once a month with a couple of other guys, and we were talking about this image, and I zoom in on it, and like there's pauldrons which are like in the wrong place on the table. So a lot of it was clearly AI generated.
The Telltale's using little things kind of run into the other things. So like hair will suddenly, it's suddenly part of the shirt, or little things like that.
Yeah, or it's just something's in the wrong area. Whereas like intuitively you would know,
Yeah.
like, well, the shoulder thing has to go here, not around her hip.
Yeah, or around the wrist. Yeah.
I can't believe
It's got better. It's got better at hands. I will say that.
Yeah.
The AI has got better at hands.
Well, but did you see the new poster for the Thunderbolts?
Did I? I might have seen it. I might have scrolled past it and not really paid any attention. What, 6 fingers?
Yep. And this is the newest Marvel.
I can't say anything. I've drawn stuff before now and spent ages drawing it, and then realised I'm like, it's a weird pose or something. I'm like, yeah, that hand's on back to front now. The thumb's on the wrong side.
Yeah.
I've done stuff like that. Obviously, I catch it, but
one
of these days I won't catch it and it'll go out. And
well, then they'll just think you're AI all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is I've seen a lot of legit artists who, right now, if you disagree with someone, if there's like a fight to be had online, they'll start accusing you of just using AI. And, it could be someone who's like, I have 20 years experience in art professionally.
Dude, I've had people call me a tracer and a wiper and a this, that, and the other. It's like, no, I mean, and okay, you can go back 7 years, and the comics I was drawing then don't look anything, near as, but that's because I've had 7 days off in 7 years,
Yeah.
I just all day, every day working. It's plus most of it I've got like on paper. I can show you,
Yeah, I do stream so people can see me draw, but there's this one guy that I follow, his name's David Stewart, and he's a writer, and he actually does write streams. So he writes books and he types. And at first I'm like, a write stream? I'm like, well, actually, that's great because, people can see he's doing it. It's So at some point we're all gonna have to like record everything.
Well,
we do.
yeah. I mean, I used to like draw on live streamers all the time. I've kind of reached the point now where I'm drawing stuff that no one's supposed to see yet, sort of thing. So that's so the only thing I could draw on a live stream would be if I just randomly started drawing something, or if it was a commission that someone was fine with me, showing off or whatever. But that would be like one stream every God knows how, bit pointless. But no, I used to all the time.
I mean, unless you could record them and then release them after whatever becomes public.
Yeah, I mean, all I do now really is if there's stuff I can't really show off, I'll like preliminary sketches, and I'll sit doodling things at night when I'm watching a movie or whatever, and then just like, yeah, show that off on Twitter. But then people are like, "What's that for? What are you working on? What's this? Tell us more." No, it's nothing. Honestly, lying completely because it is for something. But yeah,
But then you get to be all mysterious. I don't know.
But you can be too mysterious. I think I need to start showing things off.
I mean,
This stream might have persuaded me to just like reveal all what I'm working on. Might do
Yes,
that.
let's do it.
Might do. Not now.
Announcements here tonight.
No.
Oh, I see how it is. All right.
All right. Okay. Hang on. There you go. That's as much as you're getting.
oh, we're getting the bottom.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Wow.
That's just there you go. Even that's enough to get me in trouble, because anyone who knows, like, who's read certain things will know who that character is. God damn it! You have not
It's okay,
seen
nobody's
anything.
watching.
Forget what
Nobody's
you've
watching
seen.
anyways.
Kill the stream. Kill the stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
What? I don't know what. Nothing.
So,
I have
there
to hide
any-
everything in high places now, because I've got 2 dogs, and the number of times that a dog will walk in and just sneeze for no reason, sneeze, or it's been drinking water and it's just like ruining stuff. There's one. Hang on, I can show you this. Oh,
Oh wow.
but keep my hand over that bit there.
That's
You know.
awesome.
wow.
As long as I don't show what's behind that hand, that's fine. I'm doing stuff. Yes. Large breasts.
Well, you guys know, keep track of at Peter Gilmore Art. Follow him on
On
Twitter.
X. That's all I ever. Yeah, X,
yeah.
Twitter, whatever. Yeah, that's
Do
all I
you
use
do,
anymore.
Instagram? No Instagram?
Kind of used to. I used to do Facebook and Instagram, and then when I started working within a certain community within comics, there's the haters. There's the haters, and they they started going after. When they can't get to you, they'll try and go after people and things. So I just stopped using. Yeah, I've still got a Facebook, but it's just I've not used it in 6 or 7 years. So.
I unfortunately had to get one for this campaign.
Oh, Facebook.
Yeah.
I've probably got tons and tons of commissions in my messages on Facebook, and I've not even, people probably think that dick doesn't reply. It's so ignorant. But I'm on Twitter instead.
Could be. Someone's there. Hey, I want to give you a $10,000 commission.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah, that's not how I used to do, like, big paintings, and I 2 weeks work on a huge painting, and I could make as much as I do in 6 months now. But
Nice.
I do like telling the stories with the comic rather than just spending 2 weeks or whatever on a masterpiece.
Are there any good horror books or games or even movies that you guys are looking forward to? Anything coming up that you guys know about?
Oh, well, very soon. What, 11 days time? The new Terrifier movie comes out, which I love. Yeah, Terrifier is fantastic. It's the first.
I haven't seen any of those yet.
First new horror character that kind of deserves to be sat alongside Freddy and Jason and Michael. In my opinion, it's
Interesting.
really cool character. I mean, he's a complete psychopath. A bloody psychopath, and it's there's some stomach churning stuff in there. But first movie was fantastic. Second movie, yeah, and the third one's out on the 11th of October, I think, but it's a Christmas themed one. I think they were like, did we do it for Halloween or did we do it for Christmas? Well, if they do Halloween, then yeah, maybe the DVD, the Blu-ray releases or whatever.
For Christmas, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll probably be on streaming then. That's like about 3 months after.
Well, I think the first one, they put out, there was just like limited theatrical, and then I think it went straight to streaming. And the problem with that was piracy sites and stuff. So, you know, not many people paid for it, I don't think. But in a way, that was good because a lot of people saw it and it got really popular. So it's like other people, it's like with comics, you know, oh, if you do digital comics, people will pirate it. So, yeah, at least they're reading it, I suppose. And they might buy it. Whereas before, they wouldn't have even given it a second look.
Yeah.
Man, I can't think of any, to be completely honest. Nothing horror specific. It's Halloween, so I have, like my set of movies I watch once a year, which is like The Ninth
Yeah.
Gate, and
Oh, yeah.
I have a couple movies I watch, but nothing
Yeah.
new.
I always have to do, on Halloween itself, I always have to do trick or treat. Not Trick or Treat. Very different movie. That was a weird, I think 80s thing, Trick or Treat, or might have been 90s. Not great. Trick or Treat is like the perfect Halloween movie. Every year. And everyone I recommend it to goes up, never heard of it, go and watch it. And they're like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah. You've probably seen the character from it. Like because it's like an anthology, but all the stories cross over and intertwine. And then this little character, it's like a little kid, but he's got a giant sack head.
Yes.
And he just goes around.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know
Sam.
the one you're talking about.
His name's Sam, which is short for Samhain, which is, or Samhain or whatever. It's the Celtic name for Halloween. But yeah, it's weird because it's like I said, it's an anthology and the stories cross over. And you'll see bits of the previous story or a story that's coming up like in the background of what's going on. It's very well done. And they've been threatening to do a sequel for like years and years and still haven't. Because it won't be as good. Definitely. But yeah, go watch it. That's one of my faves. Recommend that to everyone for Halloween. I always do that, and I do the Frighteners, and then I like a Universal movie, and maybe the Terrifier again, because
There's the new
set on Halloween.
the new Nosferatu is coming out, right? Isn't that?
That's releasing on Christmas Day.
What?
Oh.
I think. I might be wrong. Let me Google this.
Strange release date.
That would be weird.
Nosferatu 2024. Oh no, release date 3rd of January 2025.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
I'm fairly sure it was slated for Christmas Day. I'm sure it was.
So weird.
January is where they send movies to die.
There is something. There's a major kind of horror movie that's releasing. It might be a different one that's releasing on Christmas Day. Bizarre, very bizarre.
Well, I know one thing I'm looking forward to: Empire of the Undying Sun.
Yeah.
Forget the movies, make your own horror stories.
Yeah, do it. Go check it out.
Evil gods trying to get you to do their will. You've got maniac, homicidal wizards who will use their power to strip you of your blood to fuel their machinations. You've got the undead coming back to the world. It's a lot of fun. So for anyone who hasn't checked it out yet, Empire of the Undying Sun, it's on Kickstarter. Go check it out. We've got an affordable digital only bracket. We've got a print book for those of you who like actual books. We've got a carrying case with DM screen for those of you who want to be a little extra and show their players that they're in for a good time.
A lot of bang for your buck because you were saying you've got the modules coming out later as well throughout.
Yes.
Over the space of a year.
Yes. So there's 12 in total. They're going to start in November. So some of those I wrote and some of those other people are writing. So I had a guy, Bill Sylvie, the Dungeon Delver. He popped in the comments earlier. He used to write modules for Gary Gygax. So I got him to write 3 for this world. and so
You wanna
some I'll do
go
myself,
and
but
you want to go and harass Ian Livingstone. He's a
yeah.
good dude. He's a nice man. He's on X.
Oh, okay.
Don't bother
I'm
him.
gonna have to check that.
Follows me. I could DM him for you.
Sounds
I can't even
good.
remember why. Why did he follow me? Oh, you remember the old fighting fantasy books? You know, the Choose Your Own
Oh, yeah,
Adventure.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Those are great.
that was like the first thing they did, which obviously all morphed into Games Workshop, and Warhammer and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So you've got Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson to thank for all that.
Wow.
But there was an illustration in it, which kind of got me on the road of like doing all the detailed like inking and all that kind of stuff. Because all the images and that were just fantastically detailed little. I mean, they were crappy paperbacks, but you could see.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was, maybe 10 or 12, I copied one of them. You know, I drew it all out myself. I mean, it's all wonky and slightly off, and I found it again and scanned it and I just put it on X, and he just started following me. He's like, yes.
That is so cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's somewhere on my timeline still. It's not even very interesting. It was like an image of I think he was like a dwarf who worked in a locksmith's, and he's sitting there repairing a clock or something. But it was like
cool.
really detailed and crazy. So I thought I'll do that. I can draw that. When I was a kid. Very embarrassing
Very
now
cool.
looking at it, but you know.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on, and thanks for helping me to launch the. We're up to 5 backers now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Aren't you
Congrats.
doing another stream later as well?
I'm doing another one from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, that's way past my bedtime.
Yes. In a few minutes, I actually will be heading over to the Dungeon Delvers channel, where we're gonna play some classic Gamma World. So if you want me to want to see me play a guy who is a cheap Chinese clone of a war hero who may or may not shoot things, then yeah, come on over and check that out.
What's his name? What's the character's name?
His name is Rex Dashington.
Nice. I like that.
it.
This is actually the third.
He sounds British, to be honest. That sounds very British. Rex
he's from New
Dashington the
Hampshire.
Third.
Yeah, the first one was a normal hero. The second one was his evil twin clone, so he had the goatee.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is the cheap Chinese knockoff.
Now you see that you've said that name, and I'm like, that's an awesome name for a comic, for a character. Rex Dashington,
it's like
hero
one of
for
the
hire.
old pulp's names.
The New Adventures of Rex Dashington.
Seriously.
Right?
Dude, there you go.
I may use that name. I may use that later.
Do it.
An old roommate of mine, we always said, if we ever got famous, we were going to use a certain name. It was the hardest name you could ever think of, like the most 80s action name. Atoll Irons.
Say again, you just broke up on the first name and I missed it.
His name is Atoll Irons.
Atoll.
You better get out of here before Atoll shows up. See him walking around with an M60.
Atoll.
Dear. Stick with Rex Dashington.
Rex Dashington.
Do it. You write it, I'll draw it. Let's do this.
All right. Sounds great.
You write it, I'll draw it. Fabrizio will do a cover.
Sure.
Done.
Awesome. I've been looking to do a new book like The Shadow.
Do it. Do it.
All right. Well,
I
everyone.
love it.
So go follow at Peter Gilmore Art. Fabrizio, you're at Fabrizio_Aiello, right?
At Fabrizio Artist, or just go to HoraceHoover.com.
Yeah, go to HoraceHoover.com. You can order issues 1 through 3 there, I believe.
Yep.
And keep an eye out for issue 4, which hopefully we'll get by the end of the year.
Something like that, yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Excellent.
guys. And
Awesome.
Thank you.
we'll see you guys soon, I hope.
Yep.